What you said, coffee, falls under everything, anything.
I'll take the coffee.
And we are live.
One cream or one milk, whatever you got.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Carly. So I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting on Friday, May 17th, starting at 1:06 p.m. And I'll move on to the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Cavan-Monaghan is located on the Treaty 20 Nichi-Saugee territory in the traditional territory of the Nichi-Saugee Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to First Nations for their care, for their teachings about these lands. May we honor these teachings. And item 3, the approval of the agenda. Carly, I haven't had an approval of agenda where we're adding and removing people. So do we do that first and then call for approval?
You can just recognize the 2 additional items at the approval.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we're, unfortunately, Kath has resigned from the committee, so she submitted her resignation. But good news is we're welcoming Amanda Newell, joining us at the perfect time. So can I have a mover and a seconder for the approval of the agenda? Brian, thank you.
So your mover,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Huntley, seconder.
Seconder,
Perfect. All right, so for the recorded vote, Deputy Mayor Huntley,
Yes.
on Farcha, Bill Cox,
yes.
Lisa is not with us just yet, so we will skip her for this one, and Newell.
Yes.
You know,
Okay,
I
that is
approve
carried.
myself.
yeah, really, a conflict of interest. Appreciate it, thank you.
And moving on, does anyone have any disclosure of pecuniary interest to declare? There's no closed session. We'll look for approval for the minutes of our last meeting held on March 15th. If I can have a mover and a seconder to approve those minutes.
Yeah, mover, I'll second.
Thank you. And then we'll do a recorded vote.
Thank you. On Farcha,
Yes.
Bill Cox,
Yes.
Newell,
Yes.
and Huntley.
Yes.
Great. I'm gonna pull up my agenda here. And then, yes, item 7. So these are, we're just going to ask the committee to receive these for information. The first few pages is a slide deck that summarizes a tree protection research study that was completed in partnership with the Trent Community Learning Center and Baxter Creek Watershed. So the slides are essentially more of a summary of the actual research study. And then the full study, I believe it's about 31 pages, is also attached. So we just would like to accept these as information to support the committee's work around communications and awareness. And my understanding is that staff will, in the background, be doing their work on figuring out how we could implement a tree protection bylaw. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
No problem. Does anyone have any questions about the reports or anything that kind of sticks out that you maybe wanted to discuss before we move on to our work plan?
Yeah, I got a question for you. The proposed tree bylaw, like, do we need a motion or a direction to send it to planning to become a bylaw? Like, where does it go from here? Like,
so through our presentation, everything we talked about that we're all ready. So we're already researching what we can do. So for the last decade, we've been researching what we can do. So we're already working on that. So it was a back and forth at the presentation of not just the merits of it, but the pros and cons and enforcement and everything. So I don't think we need a direction because it's already in the queue.
Okay, that was
yeah. So yeah. And we had some discussion on whether or not we had already started and what we already actually had in place. And so there's a bit of a discussion at the presentation of that, but I think we're good. We're just going to keep continuing researching, trying to develop something.
Okay.
Right. And if I could speak on behalf of Baxter Creek, Leslie,
Yes, please.
through the chair, I just wanted to say that my understanding of the research is this is not a proposal for a tree bylaw. It's background research on tree bylaws for Ontario, implementation possibilities, right? For bylaws across Ontario.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
Just as thank you, Mayor, raising this proposal.
Yeah. And there's information included in there that, you know, we could potentially discuss. And I see, Bridget, you've already put together some communication packages just around educating, you know, the community around, you know, the importance of trees and why it's important to protect them. So that was my understanding, is that the committee would endeavor to try to raise awareness within the community from a communications perspective. But Kyle and his colleagues would continue on with the work that they've already started.
It was a great presentation. It spurred a lot of conversation that continued to the end of that day, for sure.
Yeah, I think one thing comes out of it, like my point too, is that there's not a like one size fits all tree bylaw, right? Every community is different. There's unique requirements, I think, to be considered. But I think it's important to conduct that scan, hey, bring it back.
Yeah, the scan was a really interesting idea.
Okay, good. So then, Carly, do we need a motion to receive these reports for information?
It'll be one motion to receive both of the reports together for information.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so could we have a mover and a seconder to receive the Baxter Creek Watershed Alliance with Trent Community Research presentation, and as well protecting and conserving the trees in Ontario municipalities, a summary of research prepared by Annie Robertson. I can have a mover and a seconder.
I wasn't here for the full discussion.
Can I?
Yeah,
Sure. And I will second.
Thank you. And we'll do a recorded vote.
Bill Cox,
Yes.
Crawford, yes. Frechette,
Yes.
Newell,
Yes.
and Pepe.
Yes.
Thank you. That is good.
Great. So now we get to the fun stuff. And just for your sake, we really are just getting started on developing a work plan. So to give you some background information, last at the end of, well, I would say in September of 2023, the committee kind of took a break and, you know, had some conversations around where we wanted the focus to be for this year. And a few things stemmed from that. The first being that we requested $5,000 from in the 2024 budget, which council approved, for us to roll out some sort of sustainability initiatives within the community. The second piece is a fairly large component, and that's what we're calling data analysis. And Kyle is working to hire a contractor. And the intent of that is to gather up all of the township's energy usage, so both natural gas and hydro, and really put it into a manner that is cohesive and meaningful, and create a process so that moving forward we can better manage the energy data so that we can make informed decisions around potential sustainability initiatives. So it's quite onerous for staff really to try to put all this data together on their own. So Hydro One and Enbridge have provided, I think, Bridget and Kyle with data. I don't know how far back they've provided. I think Hydro provided a rather large chunk of data, and then Enbridge was a little less comprehensive.
I think it was only 2 years, wasn't it? If I remember correctly, and Hydro was 10. Yeah, 7, 10. It was pretty substantial. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing with the data, it's important to call out too, is that We have what we call corporate data, which is the township's assets. And then we also have community data, which is the amount of gas used in the community based on sector. So looking at agriculture, commercial, residential, so that we can really get a robust picture of what the energy use is like within the township. So that's something that Kyle's leading. And maybe Kyle, you could give us an update. I know that you have been making progress and we're almost kind of crossing the finish line. So maybe you could give us an update on where that sits.
Yep, so I drafted 2 RFPs, actually. I drafted 1 and then totally redid it, so it took a little bit longer because we had 2 similar RFPs. One was for the splash pad, and then we had a newer one that was more cohesive with what we're doing. So we redid it. Anyhow, it's with the CAO to approve. So it's done. Just looking for some feedback from her before we put it out. But right now, we're looking at a closing date of roughly June 13th, but that might get pushed based on when we get it back. So
Right.
In the
That's
next
great.
month and a half, we should have it ready to put out for.
That's excellent.
Mhm.
Good. Do you have any questions? Amanda, do you have any questions before we move on?
I don't think so. I mean, the data will just be used as a benchmark so that in the
Mhm.
future, we know what sort of impact we're having.
And it'll also tell us like by sector, where's our
Mhm.
biggest uses, and then
Mhm.
in the municipality, what, if
Mhm.
we're gonna focus on certain areas, where
Right.
do we focus?
Where you can have the
Yeah.
most impact.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
because the corporate side, we've had to report on all our facilities usage for 10 years.
Mhm.
So we have all that.
Right,
We, up until recently, we had to do that by like monthly bills, calculating all, like for every
Okay.
facility, and the
Right.
billing for facilities like these, it isn't overly accurate because they might have a street light attached to it or
Sure.
this other thing. So that data isn't super accurate. The stuff we get well, from Hydro One and
Mhm.
Enbridge is a bit more accurate. So but we have a lot of corporate data already. We just don't have any community.
Right,
So that's the bigger piece of the RFP
makes
and
sense.
what we've got. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the climate change action plan that was done back in 2016, 2017, used 2011 data as
Yeah.
baseline data
Yeah.
for the community.
Mhm.
So this will kind of help us, be able to update that, bring it up to current day. But
Right.
it also it might be serve as a bit of a benchmark too. We might be able to say, okay,
Yeah, right, trend from.
depending, because probably back then,
Mhm.
things were evaluated differently as opposed to now because of
Sure,
changes.
okay.
Just for your benefit, so there will be 2 plans we talk a lot about here. We have a municipal one that we drafted in 2014.
Okay,
Energy Conservation Demand Management Plan that we
Mhm.
created that we're updating. And then we got the,
Climate change action plan.
that's it.
And it has it's a regional plan.
Right.
For the greater Peterborough area, and it includes the city, the county, and all 8 member townships and First Nations.
okay,
And then each township has their own, which is kind of dovetails into that. So,
Okay.
and it does both corporate and community
sure.
initiatives.
Yes, I, that's a chapter, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
yeah, I was able to look over that. That's great. So that document, I think, was from 2014 or 12 or?
It was
The-
created in 2014 and then it was accepted by council in 2016.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, it's right here. Okay, great. That I have a lot of reading to do, but I did get to look at that and it'll be, there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of items in there, but not a lot of specifics, right? So that's where maybe a real action or work plan needs to come into place. Okay, great.
Yeah. And I think, Bridget already touched on the energy conservation and demand management plan update. That is the corporate side, and that we'll start updating that after the data analyst has provided us with data and to be able to go in, look at that document, and then refresh it with some action items as well. So we've kind of put that on hold until the data analysis piece is completed.
Makes sense.
And then the communication campaign. So I think that's a lot of Just pulled together a lot of suggestions, and this is really where the committee wants to initially focus some of our efforts, is to start sharing with the community both all the work that the township has been doing over the years that perhaps people aren't aware of, and then further to educate the community on alternative energy use or climate change action items that we would like to deliver within the community. For example, we've talked a little bit about rain barrels and how they can be beneficial, during the summer months. And I think right now we're mainly focusing on water conservation, and then we'll, move forward and make some further decisions after we have data to help guide us. So Bridget, is it okay if I turn it over to you to walk us through the?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in our work plan at the last meeting, we had identified just a couple of topics that we wanted to start off with. So we thought water conservation, we do have a toilet rebate program, which offers a $50 rebate for every low flow replacement toilet that's installed in residential units that are on municipal services.
Of course.
Yeah. And then the other program we have is water leak audits. So staff will go out and assess your water system. If you think your bill is really, really high, Jessica will go out and do an audit to see if there is a leak, to try and reduce costs and consumption. So we kind of put together two kind of campaigns around those two programs to start off. Obviously, this would be kind of July, August,
Right.
and then we can shift over to something of what the committee wants to focus on next. Some of the things we talked about was dark sky compliance, which is kind of like a pollution, like a light pollution. Why do we care about that? Tree preservation obviously is another one we want to zero in on. So this will kind of give you an idea as to what we do and how. So we would apply the same kind of model to the committee's initiatives. So we can put an ad in the Millbrook Times. We can send out a press release. Right now, our website, when we put a press release, we have a subscriber list. So anytime we put a press release, it will go out directly to them. We would also send it to all of the newspapers, and hopefully they would pick it up.
Yeah.
I know Karen is really good at the Millbrook Times.
Okay.
She's always good to pick up local initiatives. The website, we can do a vanity URL, so you can do kind of a catchy URL.
Sure.
So, you may not want to go with this, but I had said slow the flow. So something catchy, but you can come up with something else. That was just my suggestion of some imaging we can use for Facebook, X, and Instagram. Those are the channels we use. Our key messages I think you guys have all of this, so I don't want to kind of rehash it, but we're trying to answer what we do, why we do it.
Yeah.
Try and focus on educating people as to what the programs do and encouraging them to access it. So I think we thought we'd kick off with the toilet rebate program and then follow up with the water leak audit for July and August. And then we can kind of have a conversation what you want to for.
Now, so when were you thinking about doing the tree components, like later in the year? So you wanted to suggest doing water conservation throughout the summer, and then in the fall start doing awareness on like tree preservation and tree planting?
That was our thought as staff, but we're flexible. This is just basically kind of a mechanism that we apply. So if you have a preference that we flip it and focus on tree preservation right off the bat, we can do that.
I think I like the idea of water conservation because it's summertime, everybody's watering their lawns. like people are filling their pools. And also I had an action item to speak with Green Up, and Tegan Moss and I have been playing phone tag this week because they have several community programs, but in particular they support a rain barrel program with Peterborough Utilities, and in addition they're also working with Selwyn Township. So I reached out with her I just wanted to get an understanding of how Green Up kind of works, and then make the connection with staff to move something forward if they're able to engage with us, like if they have I guess room in their programming or resources or whatever it may be. I hopefully will connect with her next week, and then perhaps I can follow up with an email, and we can explore that one a little bit further. I know that a lot of people are turning to rain barrels, particularly to avoid using their own water, but especially when you're on a well, I know a lot of people do prefer rain barrels. So then my question is, Bridget, when you just said for the toilet rebate, they have to be on municipal service. So would that be something that we would also apply to the rain barrel rebate program, or would that just simply be if you live within the township?
Yeah, I think that would be township wide.
Yeah, okay.
And I think, I don't want to speak for Public Works, but I did have a conversation a couple of months ago with Jess Bradley, and I think she was interested in implementing a rain barrel program.
Great.
So
Okay.
let me revisit that conversation. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
How does it work?
Go ahead.
I believe it's centralized. So I think that Green Up works with a company who does a lot of rain barrel sales, and you can sign up as a soccer team or school. And I think it's like they provide the rain barrels and you price it up by $20 or something like that. So we could probably participate, not necessarily through Green Up, but just as a township.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. Do you know how much they are?
They're about $60 maybe.
You get yours post soccer.
So is your thought we would purchase a few? Is that kind of your?
Well, my thought was, I like kind of handling it through Green Up, just simply because they handle all like the administrative component. And they, of course, like Lisa said, already have the contracts in place for the actual products. So what they do is like, there's still a charge for the end use customer, but there may be a rebate of say like $20 or $30 per barrel. So we would define how many barrels we wanted to, like what the maximum number of barrels would be for this year's program. Like if it's 100 barrels, then, we would do maybe $20 a barrel.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there any in the township, like, void on our own burdens?
Rain barrels?
Yeah. I know we started there.
Probably a good example.
Library.
Oh,
Yeah, for the
sorry.
community gardens.
Yeah, for the community gardens, that's right too. I was thinking, I had 3 facilities come up, I was like, I don't know if we'd ever use the water in them. Like here.
There's usually some landscaping around some of it. Or there should be.
Another
Yeah.
reason I'd be hesitant to go to Green Up perhaps is who owns the data of the client. Like if they are giving their name and address to sign up for this rebate and get the program, that could be something that we track, and then maybe in years coming, they do a rain garden or rainwater system, and we could implement some sort of program that is like a package deal. And then if you achieve all of the steps of this water conservation activity, you get
Kind of
Star.
like-
Free one.
kind of
Yeah,
like
free.
nature garden.
Yeah. Green Up has a lot of good resources that we can also kind of leverage around just conservation in general. That would be helpful to support, Lisa, what you're suggesting. I know that they really advocate for rain gardens, and they did have a rebate program with the city of Peterborough. However, it's quite costly. I think the rebate is about $1,000. So I don't know how many participants they have, but it doesn't mean we still can't educate, the community and raise awareness on what a rain garden is, how you install one, and, try to encourage voluntary involvement in installing rain gardens.
So is your thought you'd like to kind of focus on rain barrel program first, kind of before the toilet rebate? Or I realize like toilet rebate.
Yeah. No, I think that it makes sense because Bridget, that you guys already have these programs in place, so why not get them out into the community?
There's a catch to the toilet rebate program. Technically, we
Okay.
found that it's expired because it was a pilot program.
Oh,
We would have to bring it back to council to renew,
okay.
but I assume we'd support that. And that might have to be me bringing it back to council to. Because I think
do you have statistics on like how many people actually?
It wasn't hard to keep track of because we had like 3 or 4. But so then it got into, was the incentive enough, $50 for a low flow? You're upwards of $300 now. So knowing that we didn't have much take up, do we raise that incentive? That's kind of what we started talking about.
Or do people understand what they are and what they do? Right? Like,
Yeah.
so in one of the training sessions I went to earlier this week,
On
and I
toilets?
didn't get it. No, not on toilets, on social media. And I didn't get to include it in this, unfortunately, because it just happened this week, but there is like an AI program called Answer the Public. And you can go in and you can type in a topic and you can see what people search about that topic. So there wasn't a lot of searches on low flow toilets. I know.
But what about like water conservation? in
Yeah,
general?
yeah.
It's a piece of the puzzle, right?
It's a piece of the puzzle, that's right. So the only catch to the program is that you could only get 3 searches and then you had to pay for it.
Right, sure.
So, but for toilet, like low flow toilet, the key search is, what is it? And how does it work? Right? So that could be part of our messaging, right?
And
Like,
why?
yeah,
So maybe-
And how much
Yeah.
money they can save through their
Exactly.
water bills.
yeah,
So maybe if we bring it back, we also include that we're going to promote it more
yeah.
through
yeah.
this.
Because when we had it, we didn't have our social
No.
media
Um,
And
mechanisms.
that's when I was part of water wastewater and then I transitioned out, so we didn't focus
Yeah.
too much on that at the time. So we could put some more.
Yeah, and I
energy
wonder, like,
into it.
is $50 really,
And
like,
now since COVID, yeah,
how much is a
Probably
low flow
hundreds.
toilet?
what's all, there's a big range, but you're like 200 to 5. Depending on what you buy.
Where does
This is
$50 come from?
Spend it, you gotta spend it.
That's
How much water you save for sure. but
Yeah, I
how
think
much
that's
money
the
you're
That's what
Yeah.
people
That's
care
right.
about, really, right?
Yeah.
They care about how much money they're gonna save.
And so it is, like, we could come up with like some numbers for that to make it more, because your toilets are your biggest water consumption in your house.
Yeah.
Not your teenagers.
Hot showers.
45-minute
showers.
showers. Yeah, yeah.
Teenager house.
Yeah,
So we could get that out, message out better.
yeah, we'd probably have to be cautionary, I think that's a word, of the, using actual
Specific, yeah.
hard costs, like maybe just percentages,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cause,
Yeah.
Use example, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Whatever,
yeah.
right?
Like, I think
But
just, using an example of a regular toilet uses this many gallons per flush, a low flow toilet
Yeah.
uses this many.
Here's where your deputy mayor is using all his water. Come in and.
I'm a double flusher, so.
Okay,
Um,
so
So
if we get
I
back-
just,
Sorry, go ahead.
I just had one question. Where does the rebate money come from?
It comes in water, wastewater. So it's its own separate component, water, wastewater and all the budget.
Okay,
Separate from tax. So it comes in.
so it wouldn't come out of our $5,000 budget.
Well, depending on if we're offering it to the whole township, yeah, we'd have to have a conversation about where we want it to come out of.
Okay.
The first program came right out of water wastewater, so because it was a conservation measure, we kind of said that it'd be, reduce some impact on water, sewer, sewage treatment plant, water plant, so there was benefit to the users. We offer it township wide, then we gotta, it's gotta be more of a general.
You could put a cap, I think, say, be
Oh, yeah.
one of the.
And I think there was a cap in the original, we didn't get anywhere near it, but.
But the water and wastewater budget is only paid for by the people within.
Yeah,
Millbrook, right?
yeah.
That's,
Yeah, makes
so
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if we went township wide, obviously.
then it's.
you have to pull from the.
And the advertising component or the communications component that we're proposing is pretty low cost, so. You could do more with the 5,000 that you've got. You know, really the only cost component for the communication side is the ad, right, which is about $100, so.
Yeah.
Not a huge
Spend.
cost, yeah, so you could invest some of that into.
We could even write an article for the Times instead of putting in an ad.
Yeah, I think with the press release, that would kind of be the intent behind that too, and to kind of then feed her some information, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be exciting. The first 5 people get $200 and then.
Yeah. Could it be part of, and maybe this is established already, but a bigger picture thinking about water conservation?
I
So
think
there's the
so,
rain
yeah.
barrels, toilets, what else can we do? What are
Yeah.
our major water users? What can we do as normal people to make a difference?
Yeah, they kind of have your.
Yeah.
Your main topic would be water conservation. It needs
Right.
to be,
Perfect.
you know, a component, so, you know, even just invest in a low flow toilet, here's what it is, here's why, and here's how we can help.
Yeah, I
Right.
think people really want to know how to be part of the solution.
Yeah,
And I
Yeah.
think that especially with the influx of population in Millbrook, there's probably a lot of people who want to get excited about being part of solutions.
yeah,
And in the new, like say in the new subdivision, it's more gonna be, like rain barrels are gonna be a bigger thing than this, cause you've already got low flow.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, that
So
makes
Village Code
sense.
mandates a lot of low flow
Awesome.
things. It's almost getting to the point that they're causing septic issues, cause you're getting less total liquids and more solids, and it's
Huh.
actually causing some issues.
We have to redesign septic systems.
Yeah, you
yes.
need more, yeah, more, it's happening, it's happening, it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy, but,
Makes sense.
so we keying in on those 2 rain barrels and toilets, those are your 2 biggest users, so I think that's trying to get the most
Awesome.
bang for your buck, so it's what can we do after?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because wastewater and water is a theme in our climate change action plan. So we could certainly say for 2024, from our climate change action plan, we will focus our efforts on water and wastewater. That doesn't mean that's the only thing that, of course, we would do. But if we're talking about rebate programs, then perhaps that would be really our, say, programming focus. But yet we can also continue with, raising awareness in the community around other sustainability initiatives, climate change action initiatives, things that potentially are happening in the community that are interesting. If Green Up's running a program, or the Green Economy Pre-Debo is doing something, like I just think there's certainly options from a communications perspective to get people in the community thinking about what they can do themselves, regardless of if we have a specific program in place. But I do like the idea of focusing on water conservation. I think it's nice to centralize and focus on one theme, perhaps.
I like having the themes kind of match the season while people are thinking about those things, like you said, water in the summer, especially when it's getting dry, people need to reduce, and then come fall, when the leaves start changing color, people are looking at trees, so maybe that is when we put it.
Yeah.
Over the winter, it might be heating, how you can,
Yeah.
reduce your heating. that spring,
Yeah. I like that. I did find I've been kind of saving different social media posts over the past couple of months just to see what other people are doing. And I'll send it off in an email because I haven't had a chance yet. But even in between our, promotional communications around water conservation, we can still pop up and say, hey, did you know that Cavan Monaghan planted X amount of trees this year? And then, did you know that Cavan Monaghan has an EV charging station at the Go station? Or, did you know that we've installed solar panels? So just to start, I think, raising awareness in the community to say we have been doing a lot of improvements, and we are focused on sustainability, and start, demonstrating some past projects that have been completed, just to raise awareness in the community that, sustainability is not a new thing in Cabin Monaghan.
Yeah, and tied into the theme, so if it's water conservation, you can say the township, this is part of the reason we installed the water refilling stations, right? Because nobody
Yeah.
really notices them,
Mhm.
they don't, but then it's like big deal, but if you
Yeah.
kind of tie it back to water conservation, that.
But even with those, I mean, I think they're measurable, right? You can see how many bottles of
Yeah.
water have been saved, like,
Yeah.
use that data, put it.
Yeah.
out there, Right, like, I know everybody looks at it when you click on it, but you never remember what that number is next time. you click on it.
So, who actually creates and posts these social media campaigns?
Bridget.
Just work with people that come up with it and,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So these are kind of some samples, so, we kind of have a look that's a corporate
Yeah,
look, so
sure.
we've kind of brought it in with that look.
Mhm.
And these are just kind of some samples that we have. If
Yeah.
you scroll down a bit. Carly, you can see.
You like that down review, it's like.
Isn't that fun?
So Bridget, you would not not want to do any other kind of communications outside of water conservation, just from an education perspective?
Oh, I'm open to anything. That was just an example.
No, I meant like, so say the summer we focus on our theme of water conservation. We, start rolling out communications around that theme. We have some programming to support it. Would you also be agreeable to including, communications around some of the past projects that Kevin Monaghan has completed while we're running the water conservation program?
Are you against tooting our own home?
I don't know.
What did you say?
He said, are we against tooting our own horn? Am I against tooting our horn?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think you need to toot your horn.
Yeah, for sure.
I think often people don't know where these things come from. So like the charge station, people don't know that Kevin Monaghan did that. You don't
Yeah.
know, be proud of.
We didn't do it.
Okay, so
No.
just.
Yeah.
But I
Whatever.
thought that Yvette said that you guys did it in partnership with Go. Like operationally, it's managed by Go Transit, but I thought putting it in there was a partnership with Go Transit.
May have supported it, I don't know if we did financial.
Okay.
Well, whatever
We
we
tooted their
can
horn.
be proud of.
We should. It's still there. It's in the township. We need to let people know about it. Yeah.
Exactly, it's still there.
Yes.
The solar one's good, like.
Yes. The
That's
solar
okay.
ones.
Those are
Right,
types of properties that might be
exactly.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that information have a home on your website?
Hmm.
I'm thinking of the offer for the vanity URL, a dedicated page, and dedicating it to the local toilets is great, but that could be the home of all this information.
Yeah.
And then off of that, you can direct back to the application for the toilets or the application for the rain barrel. But also kind of list people as a
Yeah.
dedicated spot for it. But
Like running a report card.
yeah, if
Yeah,
they find
yeah.
themselves there to buy a rain barrel, they also learn all this stuff at the same time. It's not passing things like social media.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess for number 4, communication campaign, we're going to a couple of things. Launch a water conservation campaign and program. We have to work out the details of the program with regards to seeing if council will approve, I guess, bringing back or extending the toilet rebate program. The water technician, Kyle, that's still open to everybody in the township, right?
Yeah, we did want to talk to her, so that's Jessica Bradley. Because since she's taken over from me, she's just been off this week. I did want to talk to her about what her process is right now.
Okay.
Because there are some fees in the bylaw. I don't know when she charges them really.
Okay.
Get repeat customers who keep saying that they're not using the water and we keep coming out, and we do have fees in there that we will charge.
Okay.
Just keep coming out, so I don't know if she's like, your first one's free, And
Okay.
then comes a thing, so I did want to talk to her first to
Yeah.
just get her, what her current process is.
Yeah, for sure.
We still want to go ahead and make up the mock-up so you can understand what, how we're promoting it.
So Bridget, how would you want to move forward with this? Are you going to start rolling out communications, or are you looking for us to provide any feedback on what you've created?
Yeah, I'm gonna just kind of rejig it just so that it's more under water conservation and it's. And then kind of focus on the key topics, toilet rebate, water leak audits, and then maybe just education as to what the township does, try and roll them into a
Yes,
campaign.
yes,
And then we can ask about the rain barrels.
yeah, okay.
A program.
So I was just going to suggest that perhaps, and you probably have already considered this, but bringing in some of the information from our CM climate action change plan around wastewater and water, like that theme, just so people can actually see that, we do have a plan.
Yep.
This is the theme that we're focusing on, and then just start from the top and kind of go down to the very lowest level of what can you actually do and what can we help you do.
Yeah, and that we could tie it back to what Lisa's suggestion is, to have a page.
Yes.
And it can be, find out what we're doing type thing. And that's where you can kind of start listing some of these initiatives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, in terms of water conservation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can kind of say, okay, like how it said in the fall, then we can focus on tree preservation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
what about the dark sky compliance? What were you guys thinking about that?
well,
So it's the dark sky compliance requirement in our zoning bylaw and our official plan, to have all your, on new development, to have your lighting directed downward. So we're
Okay.
kind of going, okay, well, how does that apply to sustainability? Well, it reduces light pollution first off.
Yeah.
Then it reduces total energy, because if you're just trying to light up your property for security, whatever, you're not doubling your amount of light, you're projecting everywhere else. So it does save energy, does reduce light pollution, which does have impact on the environment,
Yes.
local systems and animals, all that type of thing. So we were looking at kind of adding those kind of ideas around that.
Yeah, I like that. I just
Where
was,
that,
yeah,
where it fits in, like for which one we haven't
Yeah.
really figured out.
Yeah.
But what can you do with, like, are you telling people that's what they have to
It's-
fly to?
No, it's kind of telling them like, this is something that we've done, we've taken action on it. It's not really a, where's on the, here's what you can do. Well, you can replace all your lights voluntarily to dark
Right.
sky compliant, and it will help. So we're kind of like, okay, do we do that part? Where does it fit?
Yeah.
So that's why we didn't bring it today because we're still
Yeah.
gonna have where it fits and what the message
That
is.
soup still
A
cooking.
lot
Yeah.
of media around the dark skylighting, World Migratory Bird Day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do that? I
Nope.
don't remember what it was.
Nope.
But that was just recently, so.
Yeah.
So it does,
yeah.
it kind of almost ties into the tree part, because it's like a nature thing, but so it might be a fall kind of deal.
Yeah, I think like we did kind of do a little bit of a dive into why it is important or what you should do when you're considering lighting for
Yeah.
your. And, ask yourself, is it useful? Is it targeted? Is it at the lowest level? Is it controlled? Is it warm color? Those are kind of the things that, and what you can do, whether, do you need it in the first place? How will it impact the area, your neighbors, the, wildlife in the area? That sort of thing. And so you could it could be more of an educational as opposed to
Mhm.
like.
What about talking to Home Hardware or something to say, do they sell any lighting that would qualify as dark sky lighting? So say if I want to change out the outdoor lights on my home, is there a place locally in town, Home Hardware, that may have products that are dark sky compliant? Or we could give people examples of.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about that there. And
Yeah.
then maybe a rebate for them and having the sustainability committee sign on. Yeah, I think we can still do that. I haven't done that yet. I was just down there with Dave today. I could have wrote that up. I'll put that on my list.
And then that, I mean, that would be as well, like a good fall program, because that's, people start turning their lights on at 5:30 and
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Christmas season,
Yes.
That's true.
Christmas with the Griswolds. Yeah, and we could, from a municipality standpoint, we could kind of zero in on some of the things that we do require for subdivisions, right? That street lighting be
Things we put
directed
in
down.
place.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's why, right?
Yeah,
We
that
could
is a
kind
good
of
one. I forgot that streetlight one was big.
Yeah,
We should,
promote that.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's twofold, right? Like we changed overall downtown streets. And then all new subdivisions, they have to be compliant. So it's actually two different ones.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Streets.
and it's one of those things that you don't really, you don't talk about it, so you don't understand the value of it. So it is something that we could kind of,
Well, they
Educate
went,
people.
yeah, they went to LED too and the down.
Yeah.
So it's,
yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of good things.
Mhm.
It's part of the picture again, right? Like the
Mhm.
bigger puzzle, it's just like a piece of it and a piece of Kevin Monaghan being, having a bit of a leadership role in being sustainable and proud of it.
Yeah,
We're all part of it.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't actually know anything about the Dark Sky Alliance, so I'll look into it. Like, I mean, I can understand the concept, but I'll read up on it.
Yeah, it's just basically,
It
just
just
point it
points
down.
it down.
Yeah, sure, I
Yeah,
get that,
yeah.
yeah.
So if you look
Yeah.
at Peterborough on the horizon. you see
Oh,
the
I
big-
know.
Yeah.
We're on Hayes Line, but near Orange Corners Road, so we're very close. And the east side of the house, well, the south, really, we can't sleep with our blinds open.
Yeah.
Which is,
That's
not
crazy.
my favorite.
And then,
I like dark skies.
yeah, so that's what you're talking about. So then really, it seems like it wouldn't happen, but then the animals start sleeping, like how they should like that. And that's-
Absolutely.
There's a,
Of
you can
course.
imagine just what that, there's a
You
few
can have
houses.
Yeah.
We're all animals.
No, for sure, it would have an
Yeah.
impact
Yeah.
on ecosystems.
Yeah,
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 for sure.
wildlife and, yeah. And that's maybe how we tie it back to this committee
Sure.
too, is,
I think.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely part of sustainability. You don't have to sell me.
And Bridget,
Tying it back to something, sorry, listen, tying it back to something
Yeah.
tangible that people can relate to.
Right.
Makes more sense. So if you just say we're dark side compliant, they're like,
Exactly.
What?
who cares?
You like
Yeah.
looking at the stars, you like
Yeah.
the chance to see northern lights, you need dark skies for that.
yeah,
You like birds, you
yeah,
need dark skies,
These are all the real reasons,
right,
not just we ticked a box.
exactly.
Yeah.
right. Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
But
So then I think the other one we had on there was tree preservation.
Yes.
So, I mean, there was a lot that came out of the presentation.
Yes.
And the report that went with it. So there's a lot that we could mine there.
Yeah.
Community and social value, ecological, environmental value, personal and spiritual value. I thought that was kind of interesting in that report where they had said that it's proven to reduce
Oh, yeah.
heart, like blood pressure.
Because of the chemicals that they
Anxiety. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. I forget what the name of that chemical that they emit, like that trees give off, that actually has those effects. But yeah.
The other side too that I thought was interesting was to record the history of your family as they grow and develop, right? Like, so maybe if you planted a tree when you had a baby and the baby's now 22 years old, and that tree is significantly bigger, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of can,
You're still
It's a
calling him
personal
baby.
connection.
yeah, what's that?
You're still calling him baby.
Yeah,
Will
but
always be my baby.
then the tree dies and you're like,
Oh, no.
We're not gonna go down that road. No, no, yeah. So there's a lot of personal feeling
Oh,
you
yeah.
can attach to that.
I love
Right.
trees.
And I like the idea of doing it in the fall when everybody's looking at trees, right? That's kind of a big part of it.
in the, sorry.
No, go ahead.
In the proposed tree bylaw, where it was coming up, are we gonna set targets for the township to plant?
So I think like a planting plan and replacement thing will be.
Planting and replacing is one thing, but
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying,
saying.
the township commits to planting 200 trees a year.
Mhm.
You know, and then, kind of measuring towards a target such as that.
The bylaw was more like tree cutting.
I get it,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's slightly different things, but I know I was talking to Wayne one time, we were talking about, as you travel down the county roads or the country roads or whatever you want to call them, and I said county, but I meant our roads too.
Yeah, yeah.
You can see old growth trees that are dying off.
Yeah.
And there's no young growth trees anywhere near them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
people really value the aesthetics of
treescapes,
the,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so we're not talking about, people's yards or, the municipal boulevards. We're talking about,
Fence rows, roadsides.
roadsides, right? Because they're disappearing.
Yeah, and in the climate change action plan, there is a statistic that shows like for every greenhouse gas. I forget the amount, you had to plant X number of trees,
Right.
right? So
Yeah,
you
or
can say.
each,
if you-
each tree takes 250,
Yeah,
you know,
Tons
yeah,
of
tons of
carbon.
carbon
yeah,
offset, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah,
You
if
have
you had a
5
target of
offsets,
saying,
you're not gonna get
every
it.
year,
Yeah.
we're gonna plant 100 trees, 200 trees, I don't know, pick a number.
and that's gonna offset our carbon
And it's gonna,
footprint by.
sorry.
Right.
Right, and
Yeah.
where are we
Yeah.
gonna plant them? It's not just replacement, this is new stuff, like
Yeah.
new trees.
The city of Peterborough actually did a really good social media post on this topic. They said, this year we're committing to plant X number of trees. We're replacing X number of trees. This will save us X number of GHGs and all the benefits that come from replacing those trees. And it was very concise. It was short to the point, but it definitely told the story of why tree planting is important, and what the city was doing to commit to that goal.
And maybe there's an opportunity to do like a seedling type.
And I mean, we could always work with.
Through Orca.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Orca's always, in the spring does some tree sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we've always, we've tried for a while to get, kind of the urban canopy concept down as well.
Mhm.
That's where kind of our initial tree plant bylaw came from, I think, which was if a tree was pulled, it was up to Public Works to find an appropriate location to plant a new one. But that's still rip and replace. This isn't,
This is planned.
We need
This is-
more.
this is
Just
getting-
plan that.
let's get ahead of it, not
Yeah.
just replace.
Talking about it in the fall it could be helping people plan for spring plantings, which would be in line with the Orca tree
Mhm.
sales.
You could almost do like fall and spring. right?
Definitely,
Like your
with tree
fall could be
planting.
like your tree appreciation,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
And
that's
your,
nice.
and your spring could be your,
Action.
let's regenerate,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mhm.
that's.
It's almost, I think I like do the two-pronged approach better, right? Because you think about it in the fall and you forget about it.
Definitely,
Yeah.
Come springtime, when it's actually time to go buy a tree,
Yeah,
then it's fresh again. and then
Yeah.
go buy a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a few different communications buckets around trees, right? We have like our tree planting that we do as a township. We have a tree protection bylaw. We can talk about.
Branches.
Ah.
But what?
Sarah, just
And then I've,
we share some information with you as well that you might not know. So Orca does their seedlings every spring, and the Millbrook Valley Trail Committee always purchases and plants those trees. So I just wanted to pull up the order. This year they planted 100. So it's
that's
happening
what
already.
we could, yeah, we
But
could.
definitely if it's something you're interested in, we can always share that.
Because that's the one we could tie back to the.
I mean, they're planting
offsets,
trees,
carbon offset, right?
they're planting trees within the Millbrook Valley Trail.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're thinking bigger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
we-
know.
we can certainly promote that
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
right?
yeah, I mean, you can still say the township planted 100 trees and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the Brook Valley Trails
Yeah.
Committee,
Right.
yeah.
There are a lot of private property owners who hear the message and want to be part of planting native species.
Yeah.
But what does that mean? Where do I find native species? And if the township offered shrubs and trees through Orca,
Mhm.
it would be an incredible resource. And then you'd be having impact on private property, which is key, right?
And then of course there's Green Up has their tree nursery as well. That's all like their native tree and plant nursery. That's another good resource. And we also spent some time talking about
Spring though.
Do they?
Yeah.
heritage and cultural trees. So, that's another component of tree protection. There's a lot of, I think, different components when we're just talking about trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
You do too with that tree count, because we could actually go back to work, because they keep track of where they're sold, find out how many trees landed in our township.
That's good.
That's a great idea.
Because we'll, they theoretically should have that data for a few years.
Mhm.
Right, it just kind of gives us, you know, a running total.
History.
Well, and then you can say you want to double that number or.
Exactly.
To
It's
some-
just targets.
Yeah.
And same thing with Lower Valley Trails, like they buy 100 trees for 10 years, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right,
awesome. That
exactly.
information should be out there.
So do we want to wait till next spring to do something with trees?
No, I think we're talking, we can do something in the fall,
Yeah.
kind of plant,
Like
tree
plant the seeds.
appreciation,
Yeah,
But
but
not like
Celebrate
education
trees.
stuff in
We
the
can
fall, not
say
actual.
plan for your trees. I was gonna say, when I plant a tree, I dump a bunch of leaves there. You mulch, pre-mulch the area and have it picked out. And it almost like
Mm, do that
makes
in
you
the
buy it
fall.
in the spring, so you don't
Yeah.
forget.
And that
Ah,
could be what you
great
do,
idea.
you know,
Yeah,
your
that's
tree
great.
appreciation and let's get ready. Here's some suggestions as to how to get ready to
You're
plant. in the
Yeah.
spring.
falling anyways.
Yeah.
Dump
Right.
What
Right.
species
Property.
should you be
Yeah.
planting?
Yeah, yeah,
You're constantly remembering.
rather than putting your leaves in a bag on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we also include the element of tree protection, not just focus on planting, right? Like the tree protection piece is equally important. So, you know, just kind of thinking about how we can also educate the community on tree protection and tree conservation, you know, protecting our tree canopy, the importance of heritage and cultural trees. These are all really critical items with regards to, you know, maintaining a robust tree canopy.
Does anyone check out iTree website? I mentioned it at the last meeting, iTree, you can put in the species of tree, the location and how old it is, and project out carbon savings over however many years,
Wow.
how much water it's going to take up. If it's near a window to a property, how much energy savings over time it's really
Neat.
cool.
Yeah, I can see. So that was a great
Media,
website.
social media.
Yes,
right?
like iPhone.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like a
I tree
electronic
design.
tree.
It is, yeah, it's pretty impressive if you can plan out a whole 1,000 tree planting and
Yeah.
find out what it's gonna be
Neat.
in return. So your data,
Right.
analyst person, is probably gonna be the best. They're interested in that.
They're more on energy, but yeah.
Energy, yeah, if it's near a window.
Tree cell.
So,
Okay. Bridget, how do you want to move forward with the communications campaign? Would you like to kind of take it away and then focus on, you know, tying into the water conservation theme, and then the committee can provide any feedback via email?
Yeah, can we do that? Is that if we circulate in terms of, or do we want to just kind of rejig it and bring it back to a June meeting?
I would almost, I know it's, I almost want to cue these things up.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
I think that.
yeah, that's what I,
So,
yeah, that's
like
what
right
I
now, we're
do,
kind of in a poll, but I mean, for the next meeting, you'll have the next
like a schedule.
the next campaign, and you know when the next campaign's coming, have that stuff ready prior to it, so that when we're ready to hit the ground, it just gets out.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So for now, like, we can get more prepared to bring them for final draft at later meetings, but for this one, do we want it to come back once it's finalized or?
Or do we just?
Or just an email?
Chuck Bridget to release it, and
Yeah.
we make comments and.
Yeah.
We do the
And I
next
can
the
always
next campaign.
send it through as an FYI and before I actually put it, if there's anything that jumps out that you kind
I
of
think
want.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Stop
and
it,
then
press.
you stop and
Yeah.
yeah,
Press.
exactly, and just
Pictures on that.
just kind of have this is what we're gonna put out.
Okay.
You know, and have, if we're doing a press release, Leslie, I would get a quote from you, so you would see that.
Yes.
You would- Yeah,
I'd say we should have free
just
reign for
take
this
the
one.
baton and go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
It should be pretty straightforward.
yeah, yeah.
Reblame.
Free play.
You're loving this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, what about and Kyle, will you plan to take, a proposal or request to council about the toilet rebate program?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It might be going through Public Works, or they might say, no, if you want, you take it, but either way, it'll get there.
Okay. Okay, great. And then I will, follow up with Green Up, and then who would be best to connect with from a staff level after, because at this point, I don't even know if that's something that Green Up would be able to support for us or how their programming works.
Is that what you're thinking?
Rainbow, yeah.
Well, Bridget and I deal with Green Up like on a regular basis,
Mhm.
so
Okay.
I know it
I was in another meeting.
doesn't work. Actually, I was gonna bring something up for Green Up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think Bridget and I are already deal with Tegan. on a
Okay,
regular basis.
perfect.
So-
So do you guys want to just follow up with her about a
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, I can follow up with Green Up and Jess Bradley on our end. Jess
Okay.
is our, staff person in Public Works.
Okay.
And we can try and see if we can put that together.
Yeah,
Because I think we want to find out. what our-
Chris Allison, yeah, for
Still-
sure,
where-
yeah,
where-
parks and facilities,
Where it's in
yeah.
our own notes.
Yeah, and I think it'll be good to know, like, what do they utilize for, gardens, and what's
Mhm.
Nancy doing, where can they put it, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they have the garden out here in front of the CMCC. I mean, why not collect one?
Yeah.
Well, after you put a splash pad in, it won't be quick.
Yeah, the only.
Put it underneath the.
We typically hear is flat roofs, so the leaders go, that's a rainwater leader right there, so it just goes out, so
A little harder to capture.
a little harder to capture, but we can assess
There's
that,
just different.
put it where we need it, yeah. Like
Put a big
Bruce-
rain
Bruce
barrel as
Johnson.
one of the, splash pads, right? That once it fills up, you gotta wait for it to fill up.
The helper.
But yeah, Bruce Johnson Library, we could put it at.
This is not good. Good.
Yeah.
okay. So I think that's it for today.
Well, actually, can I jump in there? Sorry, Leslie.
Yeah,
There were a
you
couple
certainly can.
of the sustainability, county sustainability meeting, I can't remember what its title is. Sustainability something. But anyway, dealing with Green Up, one of the things they were talking about is that they've been trying to promote is their home energy efficiency testing. And
Yeah.
it's
Got it.
the audits, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a prelude to a lot of the government's
Programs.
programs,
Save on energy.
rebates, save on energy, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We were kind of wrestling around with that and like, how do you promote it a little bit better? And, you know, it's like, I think it's like $500 to have it done. Or how do we offset that a little bit? You know, like, cause to me, that seems like a big impediment is to
Yeah.
actually get study done, it's expensive. So we were thinking about how we can work with that one. What was the other one? Oh, I guess in the fall, they're gonna do another, home energy expo. You know, where they really start to explain like heat pumps and like different things you can do around your home for better efficiency.
I think
So that's-
Sullivan Township ran that last year.
They did,
Yeah.
and now they're gonna do it in Peterborough in the fall. So
Okay.
same Are gonna do it again. and
Okay.
Will come shortly. I just wanna put that on the radar.
Yeah.
If the home energy audits, when you have a rebate, like when you're using for a grant, they typically pay a good portion back if you go through with it. Sometimes it's 100%, but yeah, the upfront cost to go, that's not really worth it, then you spend.
$500, yeah.
Right, but if you know you need new windows.
Yeah.
Wireless, you
Just go get new windows.
Right.
Just go get new windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, so like if it was, say, 5 years ago, it was $350 was your typical one. So you could say, if you did the 350 to replace the windows, if it was a big enough window, say it was a $5,000 window.
Yeah.
You got $1,000 back, and then if you replaced it, proved it and everything, you got the 350 too, so it was worth it in that, but
Right.
it depends on the program, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that would be really good actually to segue into, like for 2025, after we have all of our energy data compiled. And, you know, especially looking at the community data, just to see what it says. Like, is there, I mean, we know we have a community with a lot of older homes. So I would just be curious to see what our updated, specifically residential energy data usage looks like, you know, compared to really what the average would be of a home. And then maybe that's the opportunity to have a segue into a home energy audit or home energy retrofit program.
Well, and on that same vein, like there was something we kind of talked about as well, is, you know, you look at the new builds, they're usually pretty efficient and, you know, compared to an older build. So it'd be, you know, interesting to kind of do the comparison and say, you we get it, that, the new subdivision say it doesn't really need it because they're already there, but, here's your target audience is these style of house, right?
Yeah,
And leaky house.
Yeah.
Heritage building.
And heritage building, yes.
yeah. If they're built before a certain year, then they could potentially qualify.
How do you protect the old with the new?
Yes. No, yeah, I am really interested about this, the fall, energy, I guess, show or expo, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is there any way that we can participate in that as a partner?
I suppose that we in contact with the guy who's organizing.
No,
Is it for residents or is it for municipalities to participate to kind of show what's available to their residents?
I don't know, you went to the last one in Selwyn, or did you go?
I did not know. I've been to them before, just simply because often Enbridge will have a booth.
Yeah.
But I did not attend the one in Selwyn. But I mean, they're useful. They are a great resource for homeowners, a lot of information. You get, the opportunity to speak directly to people about certain products. And it's kind of like a one-stop shop for homeowners who are interested in energy efficiency.
Yeah.
So potentially we could even, I don't know, Bridget, like promote it, and because I don't think you have to be a resident.
Yeah. It's worth us actually participating in it or just promoting it?
Yeah.
Both or?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think
Two-part question, that's awesome.
Yeah, like, would it be better just for us to promote it?
probably,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
For sure.
But maybe one day we'll be large enough of a municipality and we'll do our own.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I think we've run through our agenda, unless anyone has anything else.
Please, sorry to interrupt. If we can just have a motion from the committee that the committee approves the work plan and updates as discussed before we get to that.
Thanks, Carly. Yes.
Thank you. And so for your recorded, so we have Deputy Mayor Huntley and Crawford as our seconder. So for our recorded vote, Crawford. Yes. Thank you. On Freitag.
Yes.
Newell.
Yes.
Huntley.
Yes.
Thank you. And Bill.
Yes.
Thank you. That is carried.
Thank you.
And so we're through you, Chair. So just 8.2 if you had any discussion.
Sorry, Carly, I didn't catch that.
When do you want the next meeting?
When do I want? Okay, thank you. I'm actually, I think we'd agreed we were going to do Fridays, and it was dependent on when Craig was available.
Yeah, so I said that this works for my schedule. Every third Friday I'm off, so I don't know if that works for us, but
So we don't need to meet every third week, but every sixth week.
I mean, that'll be hard to align. You'd have to align with my schedule. But
Do you know the dates, Craig, of what every, would you be able to send them in an email?
Yeah.
And then I can send that off to Cindy and we can
Sure.
publish your schedule. Does Fridays work for everybody else? Is that manageable?
Okay, through you, Chair, we can just leave that staff will coordinate the next meeting date. And or are you looking for a full 2024 schedule like for?
No, I'd like to have a full 2024 schedule so people know and they can plan their calendar. So I'd like to suggest if it's possible for Craig to provide us with the dates, the Fridays that he will be off, and then we can put together a 2024 schedule and publish it out so that people can get it on their calendars for the rest of the year.
I appreciate it. It's everybody else's question.
Or
Okay.
you're in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do I need a motion for that, Carly?
At this point, we can leave it and we'll come back with the next date.
Okay. Okay, so then I'll move for an adjournment. Can I have a mover and a seconder to adjourn?
Go.
Lisa?
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you, Amanda.
Newell seconded, and for our recorded vote. Newell,
Yes.
thank you, Huntley,
Yes.
on Farczak,
Yes.
Silcox,
Yes.
and Crawford. Wonderful, that is carried, and you are adjourned. Thank you all.